Minecraft. A simple block building game on the surface, but if you take a deeper look, you'll see the game is filled with 13 years worth of content and history, not to mention the countless hours you could spend on a single player world alone, or the infinite amount of replayability. Minecraft has been not only my favorite game, but the most intriguing game I've played for the past 10 years. I love looking into the history of the game and its development. Cut features, scrapped ideas, and even community-made theories are just some of the things I love to learn about, and this game certainly does not have a shortage of any of those. That's why I decided to delve deep into my passion for this game and create this Iceberg video, going over more than 300 entries, and of course, as the iceberg goes deeper, those entries only get more interesting. Today, I'll be covering the Minecraft Iceberg version 3 created by user Probot748 on Reddit. But before we get any further, I want to say that this video has taken a lot of effort, and I've really put my all into this. If you like this video and you want to see the whole iceberg covered, please consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel. It would mean a lot to me. Now, I'm sure a majority of everyone watching this has either seen or understands the concept of the iceberg format, but for those who are unaware, an iceberg video takes a topic and divides information about said topic into layers. The topmost layers, or the tip of the iceberg, are usually very commonly known subjects regarding the topic, but as you move down layer by layer, those subjects get more and more obscure, with the bottom layer containing the most unknown theories or facts in the entirety of the iceberg. That being said, in this video I'll be covering the first 2 layers of this iceberg, minus a few select entries. You see, these 2 layers were filled with extremely basic game mechanics that weren't worth talking about by themselves. So what I've done is I've taken as many of those basic entries as I can, and tried to give some history or interesting facts about them. There were 4 entries though that just didn't have anything to talk about, so I've gone ahead and crossed them out. But one last thing I want to note is the creator of this iceberg has made his own document explaining each entry, but I've done my best to try and stay away from using that and come up with my own way of describing each topic. Though I'm sure as we move down the iceberg and get to more obscure topics, I'll rely a bit more on their explanations. Alright, onto the video. Nether portals. Nether portals, first introduced in version Alpha 1.2.0, are rectangular structures built with obsidian, typically in a 4x5 frame, though they can be built into a maximum of a 23x23 frame. Now, we all know that today, nether portals are used to travel into the nether dimension, but did you know that the nether wasn't always called that? In Minecraft InDev 0.31, a feature called map themes was introduced. At the time, infinite worlds didn't exist, so when generating a new world, the player could choose from several themes, each affecting major gameplay mechanics such as monster spawning, lighting, and the liquid that would surround the small island generated. One theme introduced was known as the Hell theme. In this map, the lighting was significantly reduced, allowing all types of mobs to spawn at any point. The water that would typically surround a normal map was replaced with lava, and even several blocks that made up the island itself were changed, such as grass being replaced with dirt, and mushrooms being found all over the surface of the island. This Hell map was certainly comparable to the Nether we have today, and we can pretty safely assume that it was the predecessor to the modern Nether. Now, when Notch was developing the Nether into its own fleshed-out dimension, he wanted to stay away from reusing existing religious names, and considered more original names such as the Nexus, and my personal favorite, the Slip. But he felt that neither of those names were Minecrafty enough. It was eventually decided on the day of the Alpha 1.2.0 update that the dimension would be named the Nether, although you could still see in the F3 menu when inside the Nether that the biome ID used for the dimension was called Hell all the way until release 1.13. Strongholds. Strongholds, introduced as part of the Adventure update in Beta 1.8, are a structure generated underground that are typically found through the use of Eyes of Ender, which lead the player to its location after several throws of the item. These structures are most important for housing the End portal, which is needed to travel to the End dimension, subsequently leading to the Ender Dragon boss fight. When first added in the pre-release version of Beta 1.8, only one stronghold would generate upon creating a new world, making the process of finding one very tedious and could take tens of thousands of blocks to find. This was later changed in the second pre-release version of Beta 1.8 to 3, and once again in Release 1.9 to 128 strongholds per world. Wither summoning. The Wither, introduced in release 1.4.2, is a summonable boss that can be spawned by creating a T-shaped structure with soul sand and placing 3 Wither skeleton skulls on top of each block that crosses the T. This boss is important for gaining an extremely useful late-game item called the Nether Star, which is used to craft beacons that give the player persistent status effects. The idea of the Wither was actually inspired by Terraria and the game's summonable boss mechanic, as stated by the current lead creative designer Jeb, while the name Wither was inspired by a poison spell in a different game created by Jeb called Whispers in Akara. Jockeys. Jockeys are a rare combination of mobs in which one mob rides another. There are currently 3 types of jockeys in the game. The Spider Jockey, which is a skeleton that rides a spider and was the first jockey introduced in the game. The Skeleton Horseman, a skeleton that rides a skeleton horse. And the Chicken Jockey, which is a baby zombie that rides a chicken. Each jockey can be a different variation of the skeleton or zombie mob, including wither skeletons, strays, zombified piglins, husks, drowned, you get it. But the mob they ride remains the same, except in the case of the Spider Jockey, which can sometimes ride a cave spider, but only in the Bedrock edition of Minecraft. Potion brewing. Potion brewing is a bit of a complicated mechanic in which players have to combine several different ingredients into a brewing stand to create a desired potion. These potions can then be used in many different ways. Some give the player beneficial status effects, some damage the player or give negative status effects, some are used to carry out specific game mechanics like curing a zombie villager, and some are, well, just useless. While in development for the second part of the adventure update, the brewing mechanic was initially going to be procedural, meaning the recipes for each individual potion would be different in every world you created, forcing the player to learn potion recipes through trial and error. While that's certainly an interesting idea, the overwhelming amount of potions in the game today would have made this a very tedious mechanic to deal with, especially if you only had a very niche use for one specific potion. I mean, just imagine spending hours trying to figure out how to craft a water-breathing potion just to clear an ocean monument. Does not sound that fun to me. The End Poem. After traveling to the End dimension and defeating the Ender Dragon for the first time, players who leave the End back through the End portal are greeted by scrolling text on their screen. This text is the dialogue of 2 unidentified speakers discussing the player's progress and accomplishments throughout their game. At first glance, one would think this poem was a deep, introspective look on the game and life and whatever, but in reality, not specifically asked for someone to write a, quote, silly, over-the-top, out-of-nowhere text, unquote, that essentially amounts to the speakers telling the player to go outside.
Well, this sucks.
This didn't stop fans from creating their own theories, though, from the meaning of life to accomplishing your dreams, and even that the player themselves are Herobrine. What? Yeah, that one's a weird one. It seems like a lot of players throughout the years have come up with their own theories about the end poem. And honestly, I think it matches the spirit of the game, really. I mean, everyone coming up with their own creative interpretation of what this poem means. Just like Minecraft in a way, creating something out of nothing. Music discs. In Minecraft version Alpha 1.0.14, the first 2 records, later renamed music discs, were added into the game. Composed by Daniel Rosenfeld, also known as C418, these discs, named 13 and Cat, were obtainable through dungeon chests and dropped by creepers when shot by skeletons. These first 2 tracks remained as the only music discs in the game until release 1.0, in which 9 new music discs were added. Today, there's a total of 14 music discs in the game, all of which are composed by C418, with the exception of Pigstep and Other Side, which were created by Lena Rain. Steve. When asked by a fan what the name of the player's character was, Notch jokingly responded with Steve, something he made up on the spot. From that moment, though, a lot of Minecraft merchandise featuring Steve was stylized with a question mark, referencing that moment and cementing Steve's name in Minecraft history. Desert Wells. The Desert Well is a structure that's been a bit shrouded in mystery since its release in version 1.2.1. With no mention of the structure in any official patch notes, players who stumbled across this rare oddity were confused by its existence. And rare it was, with only a 1 in 1,000 chance to spawn in Java Edition, many people made theories as to what it could possibly signify. You can still find tons of Minecraft forum threads asking about the desert well, and I've personally heard my fair share of the theories, some of which I actually used to believe. A popular one that used to get spread around was that these wells showed where diamonds were located underground, but in truth, they were really nothing more than a decorative structure, and still have no real purpose to this day. Seasonal events. During some holidays and special occasions, certain events take place in Minecraft. Between October 20th and November 3rd, players can expect to see several hostile mobs spawn with jack-o'-lanterns on their heads, along with the only splash note shown reading, "Ooh, spooky." From December 24th to the 26th, you'll find that the textures for all chests in the game are replaced with rat presents. Now, these are just a few examples of the different events that take place in Minecraft. There is another one that's a little more interesting, and it's coming up later down the iceberg, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. Sleeping in other dimensions. If a player travels to any other dimension, besides the overworld, and decide to take a nap for the day, there's a very rare chance that a dreamlike sequence will play out, in which the player will spawn in a dimly lit cave filled to the brim with diamonds and other rare materials. If the player can manage to mine all the ores before they wake up, they get to keep all the materials they manage to mine. Now, not a ton of players know about this, and if you haven't tried this out for yourself, I highly recommend you jump into your own survival world and give this one a go. Soul Sand faces. If you look closely at the texture for soul sand, you'll start to notice small faces all over the block. It's quite fitting for a block named Soul Sand, as well as the Nether's theme in general. Now, as you can probably imagine, this block has been the source of many fan theories in Minecraft, and I am absolutely sure you can find some kid on a forum thread somewhere linking this all back to Herobrine, just really putting his detective work in, his Sherlock Holmes impression going strong, and thinking he's put it all together. Chiseled sandstone symbols. Just like the previous entry, if you take a look at chiseled sandstone, you can clearly see a creeper engraved on the regular sandstone and a wither on the red chiseled sandstone. Shortly after chiseled sandstone was introduced, pyramids were added to the game, giving players fuel to theorize about the lore of Minecraft and who or what engraved those blocks. Creeper origins. The creeper was actually intended to be a pig, but due to Notch not having any modeling programs at the time, he created all the models in the game with code. This led to him accidentally interchanging the width and height values of the pig, making it a taller, lanky creature with 4 little feet at the bottom. Instead of trashing his mistake, Notch actually liked the look of the creature and decided to give it its own texture, resulting in the creeper we all know today. Cave game. On May 13th, 2009, Notch released a video titled Cave Game Tech Test on his personal YouTube channel, Nizach. This video became the earliest known footage of Minecraft, or what it was known as at the time, Cave Game. Cave Game was inspired by a previous project Notch had been developing named Ruby Dung, where Cave Game's source code came from. In fact, Minecraft's earliest versions still have the files relating to Ruby Dung, and some textures like cobblestone were directly taken from Ruby Dung. The version of the game shown in the Cave Game Tech Test video was never released publicly, and of course, we all know that the name of this game would later be changed to Minecraft. Creepers are plants. This fan theory claims that creepers are actually plant-based creatures, and it has a bit of evidence to back it up. In a reply to user Jazz McDougal on Twitter, Notch states that he imagined creepers to be crunchy, like dried leaves, and coincidentally, the first texture for creepers in the game was just the leaf block with a face on it. Fans of this theory also believe that the reason creepers explode is to spread spores, much like the real-life sphagnum moss, which uses an explosion-like behavior to expel spores into the air and reproduce. I think it's quite an interesting theory, and it might actually have some substance to it. What do you think? Farlands. The Farlands is an infamous terrain generation bug that occurred when the parts of the game responsible for terrain ceased to function properly. If a player traveled 12.5 million blocks away from the spawn point of a Minecraft world older than beta 1.8, the game would stop generating the usual terrain and begin creating these wild and extremely interesting landforms, reaching all the way to the world height limit. This glitch was eventually patched out in Beta 1.8 when new terrain generation code was written, but it can still be accessed through the use of mods or by removing the patches used to stop the Farlands from occurring. Now, I couldn't talk about the Farlands without mentioning a person by the name of Crazy Man, who, on June 19th, 2020, was the first person in the world to reach the Farlands legitimately in vanilla Minecraft. Over the course of about a year, Crazy Man recorded every second he spent walking towards the Farlands, and you can view it all today on YouTube. Pink sheep. Typically, when exploring a Minecraft world, you'll see many white sheep, as they're the most common variation of the mob, with 77% of all adult sheep being white. You'll also find a handful of black, gray, and light gray sheep, each having about a 4.75% chance of spawning, and maybe even a brown sheep, which has a 2.85% chance. The rarest variation of naturally spawning sheep, however, is the pink sheep. The adult pink sheep has a mere 0.1558% chance of spawning, while the baby version is even more rare, with just a spawn chance of 0.0082%. .17 content split. This entry just refers to the fact that the Caves and Cliffs update was split in two, with the first half that included the blocks and mobs launching on June 8th, 2021, and the second half, which actually included the aforementioned Caves and Cliffs revamp, was released on November 30th, 2021. Despite the update being divided in two halves, a lot of content that was meant to be released within the Caves and Cliffs update was pushed back due to a feature called the Deep Dark becoming a lot larger than the team developing it could imagine. This resulted in certain features like the Deep Dark biome, the Warden mob, and the Skulk blocks being held back until 1.19 is released. Microsoft influence. On June 17th, 2014, Notch tweeted out asking if anyone would be interested in buying his share of Mojang so he could, quote, move on with his life. You see, in 2014, a lot of server owners were upset with Notch over the in-user license agreement, which disallowed the selling of items that would affect gameplay. Now, this was the right move by Mojang, keeping Minecraft away from pay-to-win schemes, but in Notch's words, he had no idea about this change to the EULA. From the harassment and outrage online, Notch realized he didn't have the connection to his fans that he thought he did, and that he'd become something a lot bigger than he set out to be. Notch stated that he never wanted to become an icon. He never intended for Minecraft to become one of the best-selling games of all time, and although he was flattered by the compliments he received from people telling him that Minecraft had changed the gaming landscape as a whole, Notch just wanted to create games because that was his passion. He wanted to make small games for the hell of it. That tweet back in June of 2014, though, attracted the attention of Microsoft, who, in September of 2014, bought Mojang and subsequently Minecraft from Notch for $2.5 billion. Since the acquisition, Minecraft has gone on to support cross-platform play, as well as requiring Java users to have a Microsoft account in order to play the game at all. Female Ender Dragon. No, I'm not talking about your weird search results on E621 or Rule 34 or whatever. I'm talking about the fact that when you kill an Ender Dragon, its egg is spawned on top of the end portal back to the overworld. Now, of course, this would mean that the Ender Dragon is officially the only female mob in the game, as Notch has personally confirmed. This is an unusual case, though, as also confirmed by Notch, every other mob in the game is genderless, and some mobs even display traits of both genders, such as a cow having horns and udders and chickens appearing like roosters but still laying eggs. Tutorial logo Nether portal. In the Legacy console editions of Minecraft, a player could learn the game's mechanics and basic information by starting up the tutorial world. The tutorial world was a pre-made map that showcased many different aspects of the game and was updated every time a major title update was released. In every version of the tutorial world, you could always see a giant Minecraft logo in the sky made out of wool. This entry specifically refers to the Easter egg inside that logo, where if you towered up and flipped a lever on the side of the structure, a piston door would open up, and inside the logo would be a Nether portal. Name tag Easter eggs. Using the name tag item, players can give a custom name to whatever mob they choose. There are some Easter egg names that affect a mob's appearance though. Naming a mob Dinnerbone or Grum will render the mob upside down. Naming a sheep Jeb with an underscore will make its wool fade between colors in a rainbow fashion. And naming a rabbit Toast will give the rabbit a special skin in homage to a player's girlfriend's missing rabbit. Herobrine. I definitely saved the best for last in this video because we are about to go over the full story of the infamous Herobrine. In August of 2010, a user posted this famous image of Herobrine shrouded in fog on 4chan's paranormal board. The image was accompanied by this player's account of the unsettling events that took place in their world. Now, I'm going to read this full post, so if you aren't interested or you've already read it yourself, you can skip to the timestamp on screen now. The story goes as follows. I had recently spawned in a new single-player world in Minecraft. Everything was normal at first as I began chopping down trees and crafting a workbench. I noticed something move amongst the dense fog. I have a very slow computer, so I have to play with tiny render distance. I thought it was a cow, so I pursued it, hoping to grab some hides for armor. It wasn't a cow, though. Looking back at me was another character with the default skin, but his eyes were empty. I saw no name pop up, and I double-checked to make sure I wasn't in multiplayer mode. He didn't stay long. He looked at me and quickly ran into the fog. I pursued out of curiosity, but he was gone. I continued on with the game, not sure what to think. As I expanded the world, I saw things that seemed out of place for the random map generator to make. 2x2 tunnels in the rocks, small perfect pyramids made of sand in the ocean, and groves of trees with their leaves all cut off. I would constantly think I saw the other player in the deep fog, but I never got a better look at him. I tried increasing my render distance to far whenever I thought I saw him, but to no avail. I saved the map and went onto the forums to see if anyone else had found the pseudo-player. There were none. I created my own topic telling of the man and asking if anyone had a similar experience. The post was deleted within 5 minutes. I tried again, and the topic was deleted even faster. I received a PM from username Herobrine containing one word: stop. When I went to look at Herobrine's profile, the page 404'd. I received an email from another forum user. He claimed the mods can read the forum user messages, so we were safer using email. The emailer claimed that he had seen the mystery player too, and had a small directory of other users who had seen him as well. Their worlds were littered with obviously man-made features as well, and described their mystery player to have no pupils. About a month passed until I heard from my informant again. Some of the people who had encountered the mystery man had looked into the name Herobrine, and found that name to be frequently used by a Swedish gamer. After some further information gathering, it was revealed to be the brother of Notch, the game's developer. I personally emailed Notch and asked him if he had a brother. It took him a while, but he emailed me back with a very short message. I did, but he's no longer with us. I haven't seen the mystery man since our first encounter, and I haven't noticed any changes to the world other than my own. I was able to press print screen when I first saw him. Here's the only evidence I have of his existence. When this post was first uploaded, it gained little traction and has since been deleted. However, a streamer by the name of Copeland did see this post, and he wanted in. Copeland showed several images to his chat of Herobrine in his own world, and after getting positive reactions, he decided to go full in and streamed a let's play of that very same world. 20 minutes and 45 seconds into that stream, he walked into a room of his base and saw Herobrine, causing Copeland to promptly leave the room screaming and end the stream. Later on, he posted a message to the forums and linked back to the recording of his encounter with Herobrine, hoping to get more positive reactions from the community. Eventually though, after years of adamantly proclaiming that Herobrine was real, Copeland did admit that his stream and screenshots were a hoax. Via email, he explained how he staged the stream and confirmed that the Herobrine in his stream was nothing more than a retextured painting. Copeland's stream, though a hoax, skyrocketed the fame of the Herobrine creepypasta, and the community, especially kids, started making their own recorded sightings of Herobrine. The Herobrine story has become so popular that even the developers were made aware of its existence, and starting in version beta 1.6.6, Herobrine was mentioned in the patch notes as being quote-unquote removed, a tradition that would carry on in almost every single patch note release to this day. Herobrine has become a staple in gaming history, so much so that I'm sure there are a lot of people in the world who have either never played Minecraft or have very little experience with the game that can still tell you who Herobrine is just from his image alone, even though Herobrine has never existed in any version of the game. Herobrine is still a massive meme in the Minecraft community, despite the fact that he was created over a decade ago. I think it really just goes to show how much a strong and creative community impacts a game. So, that's all. That's the first 2 layers of this iceberg covered. I'm sorry if I'm rambling for a bit here. I'm not following a script at this point. I want to thank you, though. If you are listening to this right now, if you've made it this far into the video, it means a lot to me that you took the time out of your day to just watch something that I created. But like I said in the beginning, if you liked this, please subscribe, like, comment, share, whatever. Just interact with the video in some way so I know that there are people out there that liked it. I spent a lot of time on this, nearly a month, put a lot of effort into it, and I enjoyed the process a lot. By the way, if something was wrong in the video, some fact or information I got wrong, or maybe you just got a critique that you think would make the video better, please let me know in the comments. I would love to know how to improve. This is my first time ever doing a video like this, so the only thing I can do is learn. But once again, thank you for watching. It means the world to me. It really does. I'll let you get back to your day now. But yeah, that's it.